Okay, now we're going to look at using Unreal and Perforce sort of during a regular workflow. So I'm going to start up again. I'll repeat a little bit of my last walkthrough. And when I like to start Unreal from the menu in P4V. This way I know I'm logged into Perforce. So if I want to start Perforce from scratch, I would start Perforce. I would open my connection. I would make sure that I am in a valid workspace. So I go to my workspaces and I'm going to be working in my V5 class workspace. So I'm going to switch to that workspace. First thing I should always do is get latest. So that's the first step I should do when I'm in a workspace is get the latest work that's been done. I'm going to go to this Hello World project that I worked on a few years ago. So I'm going to open this up through Perforce. That way I know that I am logged into Perforce. That's the only reason I do this. I could actually do it from the Epic Games menu or from File Explorer. I could right click here, go Show and Explore, and actually load it from here. But this way I know I'm logged in. So I'm going to go into here and I'm going to log into Unreal, and it should remember your prior settings if you've used it before. So if you've used Unreal before, it should log into Perforce automatically. But I like to double check it. I have had it where it's got that green check mark and it looks good, but it won't submit content. So I always go beginning of a session and go to my change revision control settings. And then I just make sure that I click on the available workspace and I just double check that I have it selected. So a little bit of an extra step. It says it was successful. So now I know I'm connected to Perforce. Now, the first thing I like to do in an Unreal session is to make sure that my editor preferences are set up. I have to do this once for every project. This is saved locally to the project. It's not shared on Perforce. So this is local to this single workspace, single project that I'm doing in the editor preferences. So I go to my editor preferences and I am going to go to automatically check out. Automatically check out. And I'm looking for automatically... I'm looking for source control. Automatically check out on asset modification. So I have this turned on. I think it defaults to off, but I always make sure this is on. This just makes sure that as soon as I start editing, it tries to check it out. The way Perforce works is that if someone's working on that file is most likely a U asset. A U asset is a binary. Only one person can work on it at a time. So if I try and open it, I can't save to the file. And I don't like working on something for an hour, then going save, and then going, oh, someone else has checked it out. So this way, it automatically tries to check it out. So I would get an error right away saying that it's not able to be checked out. So I want to make sure that I have automatically check out on asset modifications in my editor preferences. So I go there, I close it, I hit save all. And essentially, what I would normally do is I would go in and I would check out this... I would check out a file that I'm working on. Let's grab a material. Let's go here and let's, imagine that I'm working on this material. So one way I can do it is I can actually check it out. I can go into here and go to revision control and go check out. I can also just go in there and I can make a change. So I can grab that material. And it's a material instance. So I'm going to go in and I'm going to make a change. And let's go maybe to metallic. And turn that off. Can I even see that change? More obvious. There we go. And I can add a pink tint. So I've made this change. And if I go to my content drawer, it's already checked that file out. So that red check mark means that it is checked out by Perforce, and no one else has it checked out. If they did, I would not be able to check out and save this file. So this file is now checked out. And if we go to P4V, what it looks like is I go to that rusty corrugate that's under Megascan surfaces. So if I go to content and I go to Megascans and surfaces, and it's rusty corrugated metal, and I go here and I notice that Perforce has the file checked out. It's got the red check mark in its icon saying it's checked out. And if it was checked out by someone else, I would see the name here in P4V and in Unreal actually of who checked it out. But since it's me, if there's no person indicator or workspace indicator, that means you're the one who has that checked out. If someone else has that checked out, it's going to look different. So I've got this file checked out, and I can work on it. And let's say this pink is actually what I want to do. So right now it's on my machine. I have taken a file, I have checked it out, and I have altered it. Now I've not saved it, so it's not saved yet. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go and I'm going to save my change. So I'm going to go here to save, and I'm going to go save selected. And it's still checked out, which means that no one else can work on this file. So let's say this is what I wanted to do and I'm done. So the next step would be I want to submit it. I did a unit of work. I'm going to go here. I'm going to submit content. And it says, hey, Mark, you've changed the config in the default engine. That was probably me setting that file. No, I think that was a change I made earlier, actually, before this call. And I did make a change to Hello World that I didn't do. But really, there should only have been this one change here on this corrugated material that I downloaded from Megascans. So I'm going to go changed color of corrugated material used on world. So I'm going to submit that. And it says it submitted the change list. And if I go back to Perforce and I hit refresh, that is no longer checked out. So now someone else can edit the file. Someone else could actually get the latest. So this change now is the latest on the server. So if I go to history of this file, it's the second change I've made to it. So the first change is when I originally imported the file, and then now I've changed that color to pink, and that's the second change. So Perforce keeps the history. Nothing gets deleted. This is the huge benefit of using Perforce, is I can go back and I can change my mind. I can go, you know what? This pink file is not what I want, so I can revert that change. But for now, I'm going to leave it. So I've got that one change, and then let's go and do something similar with this other file here. And I grab this other material, and I'll tint that one. I'll tint it green just so it's a different color. Yeah, maybe we'll tint it purpley. Yeah, something like that. Bluish. So I'm going to tint the hello. And if I go to my content drawer, it's checked out now. It's got the red checkout marks. Now, what ends up happening when I'm working in Unreal is I have made this change and I've submitted it to Perforce. So I've allowed someone else to go in and change that material. But with this one, I might say, you know what? I don't like that change. I don't know what I was doing. Sometimes I do 15 things, I get lost in it, and I just want to get back to where I started from. So what I can do is actually I can go in here and I can right click and I can go to my revision control and I can revert. And revert basically takes me to the last time I did a change to Perforce, which in this case was just this one thing that I did. This is why I want to submit to Perforce often, so that I have very fine control over when in time I can go back and what I can revert to. So I don't want to do 100 things and then submit to Perforce. I want to do as few things as possible, like a unit of work, and then submit that to Perforce, no matter how small. So I'm going to go revert, and all of a sudden I'm going to revert this change, and this is a destructive revert. So it's going to go here, it's going to revert the file, and I go back and it's no longer that blue tint. And I have lost it and it's no longer checked out. And we can go to Perforce here and I can hit refresh and it is in fact no longer checked out. So that's just sort of how we control an asset in Unreal and edit it. Now it gets a little trickier when we're talking about editing within a level. So this is a regular level. So if I go to File, New Level, this is like picking a basic or an empty level, the two on the right. And in this case, these levels are appropriate for a smaller game. Open world is, for very large areas. If you've got like a kilometer, 2 square kilometers, 4 square kilometers, the whole Earth, right? You would use the open world. But basic and empty level would be good for like, a smaller level of a traditional old school game. So in this case, this level, what I selected is fine here. But I really like to have a certain feature that Unreal's turned on when I'm working with other people. So when I'm working in the classroom with students, multiple people need to work on a level together, and this is not possible here. So if I move this hello and I go to my maps here, it's checked out that level, which means no one else can come in and change this level. So I'm the only person that can change it, and this is quite inconvenient. And there's a better workflow that Unreal provides us by default in the when we're using world partition, but not by default when we're using just a regular level like this one. So in this case, it's checked out, and I can't. No one else can do anything. I'm just going to revert that change and pop that hello back to where it was before, and it's no longer checked out. So what I'd rather do is use one file per actor. And if we go to Unreal and go one file per actor, Unreal, there's a web page that indicates that we can make a change to a single actor within a level. And it'll only check out the file on that individual actor, not on the entire scene. So it's enabled by default when using world partition, but when we're not, we have to go into our world settings, which are the settings for that level, and turn on use external actors. So we're going to try that. We're going to go in here. We're going to go into world settings, and use external actors. And there is the setting under world advanced. So if I click that and I go yes, now this has turned on the one file per actor, which means that every actor is treated like a separate check-in. Not treated, it is a separate check-in. So now if I go into here and I click hello and I move it and I go to my level, it's checked out hello world. I wonder why. Maybe it did that because I turned on using external actors. Let me undo that. Let's undo that change. Let me go here. Let's just hit save all, and let's submit the work. So we're going to go in and we're going to submit the content. So when I turned on one file per actor, it's taken all the actors in my scene up here in my outliner and turned them into separate check-ins. So I'm going to go here and go converted scene map or level to one file per actor. And I'm going to submit it. Okay, and I'm going to check my hello world level. It's not checked out. I'm going to go here. I'm going to make a change again. I'm going to move it. And I'm going to go back to my content drawer. And notice it has not checked out hello world. But it has checked out a file. Okay, so we've made change to hello. I'm going to save that change, and I'm going to view my changes. And I've got this hello that I have changed. And it gives me a nice human readable form. It basically says which map it's on and the name of the file that I've changed rather than what's in Perforce. If I go to Perforce, what it does is it puts it in this external actors and external objects folder. And each map will have its folder, and it gives it a name that has been hashed. So a name that is not human readable. So this is why we want to look at it in the change list here, because otherwise it's going to come up with the gobbledygook file that has been changed in this hidden folder that we don't have to go into. And Unreal, it clearly indicates in their documentation that if I go to the bottom, it wants us to submit all files through Unreal in the editor when we're using one file per actor. And I hit refresh. It's got that C301, that hashed name that is not human readable. I have no idea what file that is. And that's one of the reasons why Unreal wants us to submit it via the editor and not via Perforce. So I've got that one change. And notice, again, the important thing is that it didn't check out Hello World. So our level, we can have many people working on it, but no one else can work on this hello word, this one hello word, or the one instance of it that I've edited. That one word will be locked to just me, because that's what the one actor per file does. It turns every instance of an object into a scene as a separate actor that you can save and manipulate separately. So again, I don't want to leave these checked out long. I want to do my unit of work and then check it back in so someone else can make a change. So I go to my revision control and I submit my content, and it does want us to do it through the editor as per their instructions. So we're going to go here and go moved letters hello. And I'm going to go to Perforce. I'm going to hit refresh, and it's submitted that one file per actor file. So that is a very important setting. I use that all the time, strongly recommend it. Anytime you're working on a project with more than one person, this is definitely something you want on your game, regardless of how you've, whether you're using an open world or a basic level. Now, if you're using an open world, you wouldn't have to do that setting in world settings. It defaults it to on. So I just wanted to show you that for if you're not. That's really important. So what happens when we add a new file to Unreal? So I'm going to go here, and I've got a static meshes folder, and I'm going to grab a static mesh that I've got in my downloads folder. It's an LSU glove. So I'm going to go in, I'm going to import the glove folder, and it's imported a whole bunch of textures as well. I'm going to move those to my textures folder. And notice it's got a question mark on them. So a question mark is different than the checked out. So the system, Perforce doesn't know about it. So if we go to Perforce, let's go take a look. And I hit refresh. It's now got them, and it's got a plus now. So rather than being changed, it says, hey, you're adding these files to the game. And I didn't know about these files before. So that's the glove material, the glove texture, the glove normal. I think there's one more material that I want on this asset too, and that's the glove roughness. So let's grab that and let's bring that down into the game. Go to my roughness. I'm going to make sure this is set to mask, because it's a mask. I'm going to make sure that my normal map is a normal map. Yep. All right. So it's added it went from a question mark to a plus. So that question mark, I think, is when Perforce doesn't know about it. It's not been added. And then I must at some point saved it. So it has staged it for adding. So I've not actually added it to the database yet. It is still, no one else can see this file. It's still here marked as add. My static mesh and my three materials. My static mesh, a material, and three textures. So I can submit this. And again, it's probably a good idea to do it through Unreal, but in this case, it doesn't matter. But let's just do it through Unreal. And I'm going to go added files to Perforce. And what you'll notice is that it's going to add them, and it's going to take a sign. It says submitted the change list. So now these are no longer checked out, these files, and Perforce no longer has anything in the change list. So it's updated it. So now if I go to the depot and I go to Hello World and I go to content, and let me go to textures, I see I've got my glove textures that I just imported. So the depot is the server. This is what, so if someone else now gets latest, so if someone else goes up here and on their workspace, they get latest, they're going to get these new files that I just added. So they're no longer, they're available to edit I've got nothing checked out, so I'm not blocking anyone from doing any work. And again, just to reinforce that, this is how Perforce works. These are all U assets. So if I go in here and I look at that, even though it's a texture, it's got a .u asset, and all U assets are binaries. So they cannot be reconciled. We cannot have two people working on the same file and then reconcile them to a single file. You can do that with code and text files, but you can't do that with binaries. So this is the way, so anytime I work on something, it's checked out. So let's put that glove in the game and let's see what happens. So we're going to go to our static meshes, and I'm going to put this glove in here, and I'm going to make it a bit bigger so we can see it. So maybe 5 times its size. And we'll make it nice and big, and we see we have an LSU themed glove that a receiver would use, I believe. Okay, let's make sure that material does not look like it's rendering properly. So I'm going to go in here and adjust the material. So that is the static mesh. Got the material here. I go to the material. I'm going to double click it. My normal map's in the normal map. And then I'm going to bring my roughness texture in and go T glove roughness. And I'm going to put that in the roughness. And now we have our shiny glove, because it is a shiny glove. There we go. So I've got my material. So basically, I did not edit the textures. I edited the materials. So if we look at Perforce now, it's got mglove. It's got that star, which basically means it's not saved. So nothing in Perforce has changed, but it's going to. It wants to. So if I tried to quit, it would say, hey, Mark, you have to save these. So I'm going to go save. I'm going to go save selected. And now it's got the check mark on the material, because that's the only thing that I've changed. I've not changed the static mesh. I've changed the material, and I've also put it in the level. So I imagine if I went to revision control and then view changes, I'm going to have 2 changes. I'm going to have the material glove where I fixed and added the roughness, and I've also put it in the level. So if I did another one, so if I go here and I instance another copy, that's going to set a separate file that I'm going to save. And now I've got 2 instances of the glove inside the map, the static mesh actors. So you can see SM LSU glove, which is right here, and then LSU glove 2, which is right there. So these are reflected. And if I would go to Perforce, it's going to have those 3 files. If I hit refresh, those 3 files are checked out, but they're not changed on the depot yet. So essentially, one is saying, hey, I've changed it. It's got the red check mark, and the other's got 2 pluses. And that means they're being added. They were not in the game. They were not in the level at all. So they're brand new files to Perforce. They're not altered. They are new. So they get the plus symbol. So what I'm going to do is I am going to submit this change. So I'm going to go to revision control, submit content, and fixed glove material by adding roughness and added 2 gloves to level. So I put a detailed message of everything I did in my submit, so I can go back and undo that, and I can go back and revert that change, which I would have to do in Perforce and not in Unreal, even though there might be a way in their editor to revert changes and go back and view the history. I'm used to doing it in Perforce, but that's sort of a more advanced thing. We're not going to look at that now. So let's also look at bringing in an asset through, say, something like Quixel. So we're going to go up here. We're going to go to Quixel Bridge, which I believe will take me to Fab, even though that might be changing a bit. Nope, it's taking me to Bridge, and I'm going to download an asset. I'll download a different asset this time. Maybe I'll have better luck. Now let's do the stop sign. So medium quality is good enough. I'm going to download that. I've got my 2 signs that I want, and I'm going to add them to my project. And it's added them. So I'm going to go into here, and I go into my scene, close bridge. And in my content drawer now, I have a Megascans folder with these 3D assets that I've added. And here's the stop sign. So let's add that to the scene. So I'm going to hit Save All. And I'm going to submit to revision control. And it's got some assets added. So question mark means it's new, plus means it's being added to the database. So this is adding a stop sign, adding signs, road signs from Quixel. Okay, I'll submit that. I'm going to go to my content drawer. And I'm going to go to my MS presets. And it actually has looked like, okay, so now notice that it's got question marks. So this is one of the challenges. Sometimes when you're importing assets into Unreal, especially through Quixel, it's not going to check everything in. So it's going to have files here that are not checked into Perforce. I've had, many times where someone would submit work and all their materials are missing because their Megascans did not get included and they thought they did everything right. Well, in their mind, they probably did do everything right. But there are some issues sometimes with Unreal. And I believe I could probably go in here and go revision control and maybe look at, can I do a diff? Maybe if I refresh and I go yes, and then I go submit content, and now it's got that content. So this is a lot of content that it's missing. This would mean I wouldn't, someone else wouldn't be able to see this material. It'll be a stop sign with a default Unreal material on it, most likely. So what I like to do is, rather than doing it there, so let's, what I like to do is, because it can happen through many subtle ways, and I tend to, in P4V, when I end a session, always, so I've quit Unreal. I'm going to go to Perforce, and I'm going to go to my top folder, which is Hello World. This is the project folder I've got. I'm going to hit Reconcile Offline Work. And it's going to find all those files that I found in Unreal as well. And I do this as a habit. Every time I end a session, I check this, because this happens more often than you'd like to think it would. So I go reconcile. That's going to create a new change list. And again, that means it's not submitted. So then I would go submit, and I'm going to go submit files. Submit Quixel download materials to project. Okay. And I'm going to submit it. And now, if I go reconcile offline work, it's got nothing. And notice that it's blue. The triangle here, not the one up here, but the triangle here is blue. And this means that I am, if I reconcile offline work, I am in sync with the head of the file. So someone else can get latest, and they will get all the changes that I have made. So really, for best practices, it's check in often. Don't be afraid to revert when something goes wrong. So just get back. Sometimes you make changes and forgot how to get back to where you started. So get back to where you started, revert it. That is a destructive change, though. And then at the end, make sure that you're reconciling offline work. Use one file per actor. That is so useful when working in a team. And just get used to working with Perforce. It's not as intimidating as it can seem at first. Thanks for joining me for this video. And next up, we will look at ending a session in Perforce and Unreal.